Hello, and welcome to Capel ISD's presentation on communication cards. Over the next few slides, you will learn what a communication card entails, why your child might need one, strategies to teach your child how and when to use their communication card, and other community resources. The next few slides will go over some strategies and tips for teaching your child what to do if they get lost. First, you want to define to your child in meaningful terms what the word lost means. And the word really has two components. The first being in an unfamiliar and or unknown place, and if your child is unable to find a safe person or safe place to return. I would also encourage you to dig a little deeper to teach your child what a safe person is and what is a safe place. So a safe person examples would be parents, teachers, relatives, could be a store clerk, a police officer, firefighter, etc. And a safe place would be a familiar place that your child feels comfortable, home, school bus, it could be a neighbor's house, just so that those words are meaningful to your child so that they're better able to understand the definition of the word lost. Also, if your child has learned the concept of time, you could add an additional factor that your child is in an unfamiliar and unknown place, unable to find a safe person or safe place for a certain amount of time. So for example, 10 minutes. That would qualify as lost. If they're in the grocery store, they turn around and don't see you, but see you 10 seconds later, they weren't lost. Next, you want to teach your child personal information. If your child is able to, help them memorize your full name, phone number, and address. Practice having them recite it and write it down on a routine basis. If your child is unable to do this, you could teach them to use a communication card. If your child is unable to memorize your information, fill out the form to receive an individualized communication card. Remind your child where their card is before heading to your destination so they can tell a safe adult that it's there in case you are separated. Next, you want to have your child practice calling your number. You can do this in several ways. This strategy is particularly useful with older children once they learn how to use a phone or have their own phone. You can have them call your cell phone from a landline, like if they were at a grocery store, or they can do so from another phone. I would encourage you to allow your child to practice calling you from a contact in their personal phone. So going to the contacts, finding mom or dad, and then hitting the phone call button. And then I would also encourage you to take that a step further and allow your child to practice calling you from an unfamiliar phone, maybe from a next door neighbor's phone where your contact information may not be programmed in. Teach your child how to ask for help safely. Rather than teach your child to never talk to strangers, empower your child and tell them to ask a mom or dad with a child for help. If they cannot spot one, they could tell a store salesperson with a name tag or a security guard. Teach them to tell that adult that they are lost and to either give their full name, your name and phone number, and other basic information, or to show that safe adult their communication card. It is also important to note that the language you use when having these conversations with your child matters. You want to be intentional about the words you use in discussions about safely asking for help. For example, you wouldn't want to say, never talk to strangers, because this is an absolute and is not always true. It is important for your child to have the ability to approach and talk to a stranger when they are lost. So phrasing your sentence differently could sound like, you should not approach just anyone. If you need help, look for a uniformed police officer, a store clerk with a name tag, or a parent with children. It's also important to teach your child to stay put. While it might feel natural to look or try and find you, what they can do to be safest is to stay in the same spot. Tell your child to never go looking for you if they are lost. Do not get into someone's car. Call for help from where they are, and a police officer, parent, or guardian will come to them. Next, it's very important for your child to grasp all of these concepts but it's even more important for them to have the opportunity to practice these scenarios in structured settings where you're able to give them feedback. Practicing the what ifs with your child is very important. Go over these tips periodically, especially before heading out to a crowded location such as a park, playground, or other public area. Keep in mind that you should never put your child in danger when practicing. Simple questions and answers will do. At home, you can role play how to approach a safe person and ask for help and create a safe word. Teach your child how to identify a safe person. The best way to put these tips and strategies into practice is to actually practice them. Here are some sample practice questions you could ask your child. What would you do if you couldn't see me? What would you do if a stranger said you should go with them to find me? Would it be easier to find you if you were hiding or in plain sight? When you are out and about naturally in the community, it's a great time to practice these tips with your child. Letting them practice being able to identify a safe adult or a safe place is a great way for them to learn. The following link has a safety scenarios handout that you can use to practice additional questions and scenarios with your child. This is a screenshot of the handout that you'll get at the end of this presentation. This is an example of a role play scenario you could practice with your child. This child is lost and unable to locate his parents. He has a special needs ID card, which he hands to a safe adult. He knows this adult is safe because she works at a business and has a badge. The safe adult looks at the ID card and is able to find contact information for the child's parent, as well as a QR code video link that explains what the card is for. Because this child has practiced these scenarios and knows what to do with his card, he was able to use it in a safe setting and model what he would do if he were really lost. Social stories are another useful strategy to use when teaching your child what to do if they get lost. If you are unfamiliar with the term social story, a social story uses words or images to explain specific occurrences, behaviors, social interactions, concepts, or skills. They are designed to benefit those with developmental delays, social issues, autism, or other difficulties with comprehension. If you click the link that says Social Story Link, it will take you to a social story specific for teaching your child what to do if they get lost and how they can stay safe. This is an example of a general social story that goes over the different things that your child can do if they get lost and how they can stay safe. As you can see, this social story has a pairing of text and pictures to help make it easier for your child to understand the content. The last example was a very general and broad social story that could be applicable to children of many age ranges. If you feel that your child would benefit from a more individualized social story, maybe with pictures of them or more specific language, please reach out to me, Sarah Carter, the parent liaison. I'll have my email attached at the end of this presentation. I am more than happy to partner with you and create something that is meaningful and useful and individualized to your child if you feel that there is a need. Guides will go over Capel ISD's communication card. We will explore what the communication card looks like, ways you can customize it, go over some commonly asked questions your child might hear from a police officer when out in the community, and share some additional resources with you. Here's an example of what the ID card could look like. On the front, you have some customizable features. There is a place for your child's name, and your phone number, and room for either your full address or city and state you live in. You'll see there's also a spot for a photo of your child. On the back, there are some helpful tips that will not apply to every child, but they are helpful when they're out in the community. There is a QR code that scans to a video explaining that your child is lost and how a safe adult can help them. You'll also see at the bottom right-hand corner are 2 visual prompts to remind your child to ask for help and hand a safe adult their communication card. Next, I'll walk you through what the form looks like if you fill out the communication card request. Here's what you see if you are interested in requesting an individualized communication card for your child. First, we'd like to collect your parent email address, the campus that your child attends, their full name and ID number, and then you have a few different options here for the address. You can either have your full address, or if you just prefer, the city and state. You can request how many cards you would like. You have an option for either a lanyard with a hole punch or a wallet option, and then we have 2 agreements for you. The first is that you understand once you complete this form, it may take up to a month before you receive it. And the second agreement is if at any point you need your child's communication card updated, it's your responsibility to submit a new card request. Once you submit this form, we will get to work on completing your child's ID card. Then we will deliver it to the campus to come home with them. Next, I'll go over some commonly asked questions that your child may hear from a police officer. When they're out in the community, questions that could be asked are, where are you? It's helpful to teach them environmental print, so looking around. Are they near restaurants, stores, pictures, street signs, familiar things in their environment? Also, knowing their name or how to point to their name on their ID card. Phone number and parent info, again, are on the ID card. If your child is able to communicate, having them practice responding to this question, or directing someone they're asking help where they can find that information on the ID card. Another question you might hear is date of birth. While it might be common to assume that your child knows their own birthday, asking when is your birthday versus asking date of birth while they're asking for the same information are presented 2 different ways, so it's helpful for your child to be familiar with both questions. I've also linked some additional resources if you are interested in finding out more information or additional ways that you can practice and teach your child what to do if they should become lost. KidSmarts has some great handouts for parents and scenarios that you can work through with your child. Again, I talked about the safety scenarios handout and showed a screenshot of it on a previous slide. Here it is if you wanted to download it. And then the Who Do I Call handout has some phone numbers of different police departments that are in Coppell and neighboring communities. We so appreciate your partnership in teaching your children what to do if they should ever be lost in the community. Thank you so much for your time in viewing this training today. If you have any additional questions or need more resources or support, please don't hesitate to contact me, Sarah Carter, the parent liaison in Coppell. My email is scarter@coppellisd.com, and I have it linked for you at the bottom of the screen. Thanks.